Dr. Joe Congini on board with us, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital. Dr. Joe, good morning. Thanks for joining us again. What do you have on your list today?
Hey, Ray, a couple things that were in the world of sports medicine. And number one, of course, the guy that's so easy to root for had his second surgery, Nick Chubb, and I just wanted to mention that. I just a little disappointed people jumped the gun. You know, we talk here all the time about we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes and stuff, but a lot of people came out right away when he had the first surgery, not knowing that this type of injury often requires two surgeries, saying, oh, it was a much milder, remember that report that came out? Some people jumped the gun that, oh, it was a milder injury, maybe just an MCL. We knew that wasn't the case, and of course, in the majority of the handful I've had in my career in high school or college athletes, this terrible triad injury, this dislocation of the knee usually takes two surgeries. And so we knew that a second surgery was coming. And we also know with somebody like Nick Chubb, what a great work ethic he is. What a great role model for all of our young kids playing sport. What a consummate pro. You know that he's starting somewhere today on his rehabilitation to try to get ready again. And who would put it by him doing it a second time and showing up next fall somewhere on the football field, hopefully for the Browns. So good luck to Nick Chubb and getting going on that. And I heard the surgery went well, and our thoughts are with him.
Nick, Joe, let me ask you this pertaining to the surgery. And I know you're not privy to the x-rays and all that other stuff, but when we talk about an ACL surgery on top of what he already had, you know, is it a 10 to 12 month recovery from this surgery that he had this week? And if so, that wouldn't put him back in the lineup for the Browns until what? Mid to late season next year. Is that close?
Yeah, I agree. I think if he is back, best scenario by mid of next season, that would be a huge win. There's a lot of individual variation in people and again, and how hard they work and what they know what they're up against. And in both of those areas, you know, we're dealing with the best of the best. But I'm with you, Ray. I think it's going to be a really mid-season, a year from now, is the most likely scenario after you've been through surgery. On the inside of his knee was part one, the medial structures that we call them, and medial collateral ligament, and some cartilage involvement and other things that we don't know about. And then the ACL was the second part. So I don't think we're going to be seeing him week one, but he's Superman. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? But my expectation, if it was an athlete of mine, what I'd be telling him is he'd be doing very well with 12 months.
Okay. The other part is we've got a lot of high school football going on. Week 14 now of the high school football season. And I know you wanted to go down the road about how the contact and the constant contact and the work that you and many others have put in to try to limit it with these young athletes as they go deep into seasons.
Yeah, we're week 14. Wow, is it a long week? It's a long week for old sideline doctors too, man. It's a long season. But the really with the scrimmages at the beginning of the year, we're really 16 weeks of playing football. It's a long season. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret in the last several years of what I've done with a lot of coaches through their athletes. And I think it works pretty well, is we've stolen a technique from a guy by the name of Tito Francona and many, many others in baseball who we started talking many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, about pitch counts. And you know how rigid Tito would be with pitch counts, and we'd get mad at him. Oh, we'd have to pull somebody out. But he is saving that arm, shoulder, elbow for later in the season, the most important games later in the season, and for the rest of their career, really. And the same thing can be applied in a couple areas in football. One thing I saw a lot, Ray, when I used to get out on the field 20 years or so ago, a lot of kickers would get injured about week 8, 9, 10. Their kicks would be less. They wouldn't have the same intensity in their kicks, or they'd be out with quad injuries or stress fractures or other problems. And I started going to the coaches and the special teams coaches, and, hey, this is just the sports medicine guy telling me this. Hey, reduce your kick count. And so every day in practice, have a kick count like a pitch count, and they get the deal about the pitch count. How many maximum effort kicks did they do in practice that week and in the games, and keep track of that, and you'll have a lot better chance they'll be ready in week 13, 14, 15 to still help your team and not be on the sidelines and not have kicks that are 20 yards shorter. And we've done the same thing in the last few years with a thing I call a block count, a wham block count. There's a certain position in football. You watch high school, everybody has them, is the fullbacks or the tight ends come in and pick up the linebackers with a block, right?
Yep.
And so the way we learned football was, hey, let's just keep hitting and blocking and blocking and blocking. And a lot of these blocking backs would start having neck injuries, stingers, burners, worse than that, disc injuries, and be out for the season with neck pain. And I started talking to the offensive line coaches and the offensive coordinators, hey, limit the amount of blocking, teach technique. Of course you have to learn technique, especially with your young kids, but limit the number of blocks, count the number of blocks, live blocks in practice, live blocks in the game. And I'm like, I went to my trainers and I said, hey, is this really happening? Are these guys listening to me, or are they just, and they said, no, they're keeping blocking counts so that their guys are still able to block and fresh and not having neck pain in week 12, 13, 14, 15. Are these the most important weeks of the season? If you get this far, yeah, this is pretty important. And you want your blockers healthy too. So I have instituted kind of pitch counts in other areas. I'll tell you what, though, I've been a lot less successful. Another group of athletes, the volleyball players, start going out to play JO right now, and I've tried the same thing with some of the volleyball coaches to reduce the amount of maximum effort serves to save their shoulders and their backs, because they play a lot through the fall and then right into JO, and I don't know that I'm not sure I've been as successful as I talk to the trainers on that. But remember, when you're doing repetitive activities, just limit the amount that they're doing, and you will actually save them for the very important games and the things that occur later in the season. And I've really seen that play out in the high school football circles when you get into week 14.
Good work, my friend. Well done working out for all these young athletes in the area. I love that idea too, and it's creative, but it's spot on in limiting the activity and the wear and tear on those young athletes. Joe, go ahead.
Give a shout out to Tito too. We'll miss him.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Thanks, right?
All right, Joe. Have a great week, my friend.